Oh yeah, a day early once more. The survival show is every Saturday, but I keep putting them out on Fridays. Go figure. There's just too much to wait one more day, so I may actually revert back to it. I don't know. You guys let me know. Friday or Saturday. Whatever day it is, you guarantee it's going to be jam-packed with useful information if you love survival games. We're talking about the biggest games getting updates or info this week, with big news for ARK, Conan Exiles and Dayz, of course No Man's Sky 2. As well as some smaller games that I've been covering, what to expect, showing off some new stuff, and some of the games I've covered in the last 6 months, updates and fixes. As always, go and check out the rest of my channel during the week for more focused videos on each and every one of these games sometimes, and do leave a like. It really helps this video series particularly stand out a little bit more and encourage me to carry on making them, maybe even start doing 2 a week again. Timestamps are there as always, let's go. If you haven't seen it already, Stranded Deep is now available on Nintendo Switch. I've got 2 videos showing how the port has done on the handheld system. Go and check both of them out. As usual, Beam Team kind of dropped this out of nowhere, no build up, no hype. They really do need to get a community manager that can actually engage across all social media. Like in the past, they just don't really show off or talk about their game at all. Nothing from the community, nothing cool or exciting they're working on. They're updating the game for sure, albeit a really slow pace. PC have just received an update that I covered a couple of weeks ago. They definitely could do with someone really helping out and just sharing their game and helping out the community more. Nevertheless, the game is out on Switch. It's probably one of the better ports, and that's not saying much because Nintendo Switch so far hasn't had that many good ones. I got a chance to try it undocked, and as you would expect, there is a drop in the quality or fidelity, the sharpness of the screen, and the frame rates do drop a little bit more, but not substantially. The shadows are probably the worst thing about the port with its sort of stop motion action, but yeah, the terrain looks just about okay for now. Now, some people have been pointing out that this seems to be what they've been working on instead of actual updates for the game, but of course they did use a outside team. Abstraction Games are some of the people responsible for ports for PlayStation 4 like ARK, as well as also ARK on Switch in the past. So far as well, we don't have any confirmed date of when the co-op is going to be coming. This is going to be a brand new update that's going to be hitting Xbox and PlayStation, and I presume the Switch in the future too. Other than what they said a week ago, which I've already covered, saying that they're going to be delivering it, most people are suggesting it's going to be at some point in September, but we really will have to wait and see if that's the case. It has been really slow going with Stranded Deep. They have received updates on the consoles, but it still hasn't been as enough as a lot of people wanted. It's not too far behind PC. PC had a larger world added earlier on this year, and there's a lot more inventory improvements and changes that have just gone into the PC version recently. So that stuff looks like it will be coming to consoles, but yeah, don't hold your breath on it being anytime very soon. The 2 sides of Rust are on show today. Rust on PC has an actual delay for its missions. This has been something that's been worked on for a while. We haven't really known fully what they will, how they work, or some sort of way of like getting some reward for doing contracts or killing certain amount of stuff or gathering or harvesting certain things. That's what I'm kind of expecting. I could be totally wrong, but it does look like it's not going to be hitting now until October. Instead, this patch for PC September is going to be smaller and lots of changes, especially for crawling. Lots of players have been complaining as well about the ability to crawl. Too many players are shutting doors and stopping you able to raid their bases. I kind of like the idea that you can crawl and shut doors. It does mean that hopefully you won't get door camped as easily or as quickly, but they are reducing the health of the players when they're in that down state, so you will be able to kill them a lot quicker. That update should have gone live already, and then we move on to the dark side of Rust. According to my sources from the Rust Discord on console, there's been major problems with their blueprints this week. With the recent wipe they had, they announced that weekly servers would have wipes, but the blueprints, the recipes that you basically learned, they would only wipe once a month. This puts it in line with the same sort of deal on PC, but of course they did mess it up. The very first week that they were meant to wipe the servers, they also wiped all of the blueprints as well. It's not the end of the world, but still frustrating if you like playing that game mode. It does look like they're trying to correct it, they're trying to make it or push it back. But yeah, another issue, another problem for the much worse version of Rust. With no actual dates in sight for any of the brand new content that's still coming in, it's still one to avoid for now. Tribes of Midgard had its maintenance update this week with a bunch of changes and additions, as well as adding a free companion for every player. The Raven.mk.3 has been added and it's claimable by everyone. It's a cosmetic item. A few screenshots on Twitter showing what it looks like. Yeah, who knew that these kinds of things would be in a Viking game? Of course, Tribes is very loosely based on Viking mythology. There's lots of elements mixed in, and who knows, maybe I guess it's the Vikings of the future. Kind of feels a bit Borderland-ish to me. I hope they don't go too much or too heavy on any crossovers. Of course, Borderlands Gearbox developers and publishers are publishing Tribes of Midgard. They've also made a bunch of changes to the Saga mode, pretty much adding more different types of enemies to make it a little bit more variety as you get through the game's late game. On easy mode, they've actually made the game a little bit harder, so that some of the creatures and enemies are now going to be tougher. Survival mode, they've also increased it, albeit maybe not as strongly, and they've also increased the giants' HP, armor and attack multipliers as they level up. They're also trying to work on progress for the survival mode to make it just a bit more engaging. After a certain day, it just becomes a really monotonous grind. They've also decreased the amount of souls granted for defeating the Fenrir by 30%, and they've also decreased how much you get by killing Jotun the giants. They have also increased the number of items and rewards for completing quests. It does look like you pretty much get a weapon almost guaranteed with every one, and you will get more souls awarded for the different type of quest that you're doing. They're also making it that completed quests are going to respawn after 10 days. Again, another feature of survival that after a certain time you just didn't get any that would come. Lots of bug fixes which I'm not going to go through, and it's looking good ahead of hopefully their mid-season refresh. It is meant to be happening this September unless there's any kind of delay. We don't know exactly what's going to be happening. It looks like characters, new classes won't be happening until the start of every new fresh season. But this mid-season hopefully will defeat or will add some new items or at least some new creatures or new ways to play. As soon as we get info on that, I will do a comprehensive update telling you guys what's in it and what to expect. Subnautica Below Zero and the base game on Switch, it looks like they are going to be removing completely all of the cheat commands. They've removed them on the Below Zero game, and it looks like they're going to be doing the same to the actual Subnautica original one too in the next few weeks. This was all part of an update. They maybe didn't communicate this well enough because loads of people were commenting on my videos where I show you guys how to use them. They're still working on Xbox and PlayStation. There's no plans to remove these cheat commands on them platforms. Looks like Nintendo are just being a bit stush. After you guys commented and told me about it, I did go in and try and ask the developers and see what was going on. I jumped in and asked what was happening with the cheats, why they've been removed. And I did get an answer from Donya, the community manager, who said they can't add them back at the moment. They are looking ways around it, potentially adding some buttons officially in the menu, so it will be like a sandbox or really cheaty mode. You do have this in Subnautica, but it does have some limitations in what you can spawn in and stuff. I did inform Donya though that other games do have cheats. ARK Survival Evolved, you can access the dev console and spawn in whatever dinosaurs, creatures or whatever you want. And likewise, obviously on Minecraft, you can spawn and do whatever you want. She's going to take this information about the other games and hopefully maybe find out if they can press Nintendo to allow the cheats to be allowed. But yeah, it does look like they're going to be removing them from the base game Subnautica on Switch as well. So rip Nintendo fans, you're going to have to just play the game. And rip all my videos that say it works on Nintendo Switch. Looks like I'm going to have to change it. Goodbye views. News for survival fans who have Xbox Gamespass, breathedge and Craftopia are both going to be making an appearance this month. Both of these will be available on PC, Xbox as well as the cloud. Craftopia is still in early access. It's a bit of a batshit bonkers kind of anime survival crafting game. It's got automation in it, boss battles, and an overall positive score of 82%. I really haven't tried this since it launched. It was just a bit way too unpolished for me, but it has had consistent updates, adding all sorts of crazy stuff to the game in that time. So it might be something to give a try for sure, and yeah, I'll probably dive back into it since it is now coming out on the Xbox. In fact, it looks like Craftopia is live right now. You can go and either buy the game or try it out on the Gamespass. breathedge won't be making an appearance until September the 9th. Imagine Subnautica set in space with a lot of fart gags and chicken gags, and you kind of get the idea. It's actually a pretty decent game. If you're looking for some tips, you go and check it out now. It's been on Xbox and PlayStation a little while now, but obviously it's now come to the Gamespass, so try it out for free. In the future, they are still currently working on a free update adding to the game some more story content and more things to do. but otherwise it is a fully complete game with a good story all the way through to the end. Just expect lots of grindiness, and like I said, it's very much like Subnautica set in space. Resistance update for Generation 0 hit PC and PlayStation a good couple months ago now. It pretty much adds a sort of extra mission where you can do a little bit of base defense, building up walls and fighting off against robots. I hadn't played the game in a while, but I did try out with a couple YouTube pals and we didn't get too far. We didn't even make it to the part where you unlock the base building. Anywho, it never appeared on the Xbox. They said it would be coming, they just had some issues to finally fix, and we kind of expected it to roll out within the month. That's what they said, it'd be a good few weeks behind. Instead, it's been like 2 or 3 months now. They finally added an update on Twitter today to apologise. Apparently they just found a bunch of critical issues on the Xbox while they were actually getting the game ready and updating, and have cited that COVID-19 has impacted them while they're doing it. But no excuses, they said they're going to do better next time and make sure that the simultaneous release really is a simultaneous release for all the platforms that the game is currently on. So fair play to them. Our Survival Evolved is finally launching on Google Stadia. Yes, does anyone actually play or own that platform? Good luck if you do, and you must have the best interconnection going. I would say this is probably one to avoid. They're giving it away for free for the first month, I do believe, if you own the Pro subscription. But after that, I do believe you're going to have to pay for it outright. And it does come with all the DLC so far they've made for the game in the last 5 years. Now, when I say come with, I mean it's available to buy. You don't actually get any of the DLC with the base game. To be honest, it sounds like the perfect game for the Stadia. ARK is notorious for taking up hundreds of GB in RAM space, and every update that hits an Xbox or a PlayStation, you normally have to re-download 80 or 90 GB sometimes. But not everyone's happy. There's already been some reviews and some of them are labelling it a hot mess. Particularly damning are the fact that you can't adjust any of the graphical settings. In fact, it's even worse than an Xbox or PlayStation in terms of what you can adjust and what you can change. Apparently the game is only running on 30 FPS as well, despite lots of other games running at 60 on the Stadia. Lots of complaints as well about the game suffering from lag, and the rest of the review goes on to complain about the animations of the creatures looking pretty rubbish and lots of floating textures. And I'm like, bro, welcome to being a console player in 2021. Now Wildcard are celebrating the fact it's crossplay with Steam and Epic Games Store. Again, it's only limited to certain servers. You're not going to be able to play on modded servers with the Stadia at all, and you won't be able to use mods yourself. This review is actually pretty good. It also states that Wildcard said they would have the game running the same as PC. You have the same accessibility and graphic options, and that's clearly a lie judging by what they've already posted here. Of course, I did get a dig in about the fact they abandoned Switch, but they still had time to go ahead and do something for Stadia. Also, where's the PS5 upgrade? Simply asking, what guarantees do people have you will support this new platform after the Switch has never received a single bug fix after its launch, let alone any of the free maps or any paid DLC. Said replied, the platform already has all the DLCs and in sync with PC platform wise, same builds. Nintendo is an entirely different platform and dev cycle. So once again, passing the buck and not just coming out with some proper answers about why they never actually updated the Switch version with a single update, a bug fix or anything. It's been a long-standing issue with me the way they've treated Switch, ignoring proper questions about it or simply trying to shrug it off as not their problem anymore. So yeah, I would avoid this on Stadia, let alone the fact the platform's probably going to die in the next 6 months to a year. People are unhappy it doesn't contain any DLC bundled together either. On Xbox, you can get the Explorers Edition, and it's part of the Gamespass where you get the first 3 maps of the game's life. That don't seem to have any kind of package or deal. You have to pay $10 per map if you want to play any of the new DLCs. So yeah, a bit of a rubbish one for me. Not that I own a Stadia or would even buy one with my internet connection. I would say steer clear of this until you see some solid reviews. Also, a side note that today is the day that you'll be able to transfer any of your creatures onto the Genesis Part 2 maps. You've been able to take your dinosaurs out of Genesis but not actually add them in. So that goes live at 4 PM BPTD time, which is something ridiculous like 12 o'clock in the UK. A pretty weird survival game for me that I never really paid too much attention of, although I barely remember seeing some clips or videos around it a good few years ago, is Sir, You Are Being Hunted. It's been getting remade. The game got made in 2013, it's received pretty good reviews, and they basically reinvented it. updating the gameplay, updating the visuals and the audio. They recently updated the older version with a fix for multiplayer that's been broken for nearly 5 years. So it does seem a bit weird, and I'm going to say it seems like a bit of a cash grab. But you know, maybe now with social stealth games being a lot more hotter, it might be the time to bring this back. Pretty much you're meant to be running around a spooky world, drinking cups of tea, eating marmalade sandwiches while you're being hunted by a bunch of bloodthirsty robots. There's lots of stealth in it, and yeah, generally the idea is to survive as long as possible. They're saying it's going to be coming next year in the early part. Yeah, it might be something to check out. I might even go ahead and try the old version just to see. Obviously this weekend for Icarus there is no beta, they'll be doing this every 2 weeks. So the next one will be next Friday, 5 PM PDT time. I can't see, why do I struggle saying PDT time? PDT time. And they have put a community post thanking YouTubers and Twitch players as well as everyone else for taking part and sharing how they got on with the game. I've already put up my first impressions. If you've not seen anything about it, go and check it out. I found the game was pretty competent, it looked pretty in parts, but for sure it was kind of average survival. Hopefully it's going to get better in the next test, like I said, will be coming in the next week. As usual, I show you any upcoming brand new games that look a bit interesting, and Super People could be okay. Now, I've not been playing Battle Royales for a number of years, but when it first hit the mainstream, I was all over it, giving you news about Fortnite, PUBG and others. I've kind of got a bit sick of them, I ain't gonna lie, and I haven't played any really properly in a good long while. But a new one, this one, does look a bit interesting, a bit different. It's sort of typical, it looks a bit like Call of Duty or something like that, running around town with the kind of usual guns and bullets. But there is a big difference because they have superpowers. This is correct. Your character will have an ability or a class ability running around while competing in the battle royale. Like this one here, the Seeker, which I'm guessing can just run through clouds and smoke, as well as super duper speedy abilities. So yeah, an interesting take, and I don't mind that. Whenever a game is a bit of an old premise, at least this is doing something a bit new and a bit fresh. It's a bit weird at the moment, it's saying it's available, but on the Steam page you have to actually go and check out a third-party website. So I'm guessing they're trying to get some crowdfunding from somewhere else, or they maybe not going to be launching it on Steam just yet, but they want to see if they can get attention from people. So yeah, it might be something I might give a try, then again it might not, who knows. If you want to check it out for yourself, check it out on Steam, and they have links to the website that it's telling you to go visit. And speaking of survival games with a difference, Outbreak Island is something I've kept my eyes on for a while now. It has you running around a spooky island map where you have to actually take pictures of stuff, but it is a fully fledged survival game too. You're going to be crafting handheld or handmade weapons, all the while investigating spooky goings-ons with some sort of mutants or monsters chasing you. So yeah, a bit of a twist with that camera aspect where you're going to have to maybe solve some mysteries utilising it, and of course avoiding wildlife too. So definitely an interesting one. No release date yet, but they showed off a brand new trailer last week at Gamescom. It's one of the few games I did miss last week. I'm looking forward to seeing what it could potentially have in it. It is published by Hypertrain Digital. They haven't got the best history, like they've produced a few games now for console and others, but they often don't necessarily support on long term, not as far as I can tell anyway. But yeah, I'm still intrigued a little bit by this one. So Outbreak Island, check my channel for any future news about this. As soon as we get anything concrete or I get a chance to show it off to you, I totally will. It is an absolute bonkers mix of survival game and maybe something like Outlast, where you've got to use the camera to fight off zombies while you explore seemingly a pretty diverse world filled with all sorts of places to go. Smalland has got another creature feature, showing off the snail. Now, there is a free demo of this coming available for everyone on PC to try in October, so hopefully it's going to be good, hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and hopefully you get to experience some of these creatures for yourself. Pretty much the snail is a slow, humble little creature that's going to move around mooching, grazing, and the latest feature doesn't really reveal too much info about what possible uses they have. Looks like it might just be utilised as maybe something to get meat from, who knows. It does look like they're also going to be live streaming something to do with packs. I didn't realise one of them was going on, and that's going to be today or Saturday the 4th September, depending on when this video's gone out. 11 AM PDT time, 2 PM EDT time, and 7 PM BST. So if you want to see more about Smallands, check it out on the twitch.tv/PAX channel. Any of the big reveals, I'll probably give it to you on Sunday if there's anything new. Conan Exiles finally adds transfers of characters to Xbox and PlayStation. Now I didn't realise this, but apparently you have been able to do it on the consoles, on servers, but not actually co-op or local play. Correct me if I'm wrong on that if it's not been that way on Xbox and PlayStation. I thought that was that update happening today. But judging by what I've read in some of the notes that they put out, this actually just adds the ability to take your character from your single player world and start up a fresh one or join your friends' co-op worlds. And that's a great idea, I love that idea, but of course it does also mean you should be able to transfer your server characters to other servers too. Obviously it should be without saying you're not going to be able to take your single player character and go and jump on an official server. There's also a bunch of other stuff they've done, adding new smaller animal pens, as well as new improvements to weapons, buffs, debuffs and animations. So lots of good stuff. Let me know if this is going to get you back into Conan. Will you be jumping onto another server, or are you happy that you can now just revisit or visit some of your friends' worlds with a hard-worn character? And it will never get fixed by the sounds of it, because it's been a problem for always. But I do wish they would somehow find a solution to having to re-download the whole freaking game with every update, particularly on Xbox. Seems like they have to do that every single time. And with the game being 50 GB at times, it's a pretty rubbish deal. Lots of games have big updates, but Conan every single time makes you download the whole game. Dayz are finally adding contaminated areas to the game. Now this is a big deal. This might actually get me trying the game again for a long time. It's an experimental update. It's live on the Xbox and Steam, because Xbox do have experimental servers running. Pretty much you're going to have static and dynamic areas that will have higher tier loot in them. Dynamic areas are going to have more kind of things being a bit unpredictable, and so you are going to possibly need gas masks and NBC suits to venture into some of these zones. They're also making sure that static areas are also going to be worthwhile too. So basically dynamic areas will change over time. Some parts of the map will become closed off with this toxic contaminated zones, and the static ones seem like they're always going to be that way, so you'll always need a suit and a gas mask to really go and explore them. So good stuff. I can't wait to maybe give this a try. Honestly, it's the first time I've been excited about a Dayz update in about 2 years, so I'll let you know. I'll show you guys if I do try it. You may have already seen me try it out in a live stream, but No Man's Sky's Frontiers update is now live, pretty much adding town management to the game. You can find a settlement on a planet and then help them upgrade the town and keep things running. You'll be charged with doing little quests, settling disputes and building up the town by adding new buildings. It's a bit time consuming, much more than I thought it was, and it hasn't got enough freedom in terms of what you can choose to build or where or what. But yeah, another interesting take or another interesting update for one of the best supported survival games out there. It also adds a bunch of new building pieces, a complete revamped building system. In fact, hundreds and hundreds of pieces. They've basically redone the tiers. So you've now got timber instead of wood. You've now got proper stone building pieces instead of just concrete, and they've re-updated and added a brand new version of the third sort of metal tier. But they've also kept all of them older tiers there as well. So if you like the older look of No Man's Sky, you can carry on building in the old style or add some of that new stuff. Make your own little Tatooine or your own cyberpunk city. It's cool stuff, lots of visualization stuff going on as well, nebulas in the space sky too, and yeah, an interesting update for sure. I enjoyed it, but it definitely shows I've not played this game enough in the last couple of years, so I definitely need to find some time and get my head around all the systems once more. Let me know how you're enjoying the settlement system if you've tried it, and what you think about all the new building materials and looks of the thing being adjusted. And that is it for this week's survival show. I'll be back next Saturday, as always, giving you the breakdown, lowdown on every new release, every big bit of news, and make sure you stay tuned during the week for more focused shows. Until next time, ratbags, laters.